Welcome back to the Living Integrated podcast. I'm Katie, a holistic health practitioner, founder of the Marra Method, and a multi-passionate creative. In this space, we explore what it looks like to live a life by design, fully aligned in your spirit, your soul, and your body. We'll explore tools for integration, nutrition, mindset, and all the things that help you live a life that actually feels like yours. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to be here with you today on camera for the first time and talking about one of my favorite topics. Because if you know anything about me, you know that I am about helping people get as free as possible, as quickly as possible. And there are so many tools to do that. That's why we talk nutrition, why we talk nervous system regulation, why we talk about mindset and spirituality. But every single tool that we talk about on this podcast, and every single tool I believe that you have used in your life, is actually all trying to get you to the very same thing. And that is alignment. Alignment is actually the magic that helps your life run as free as possible and helps you succeed in the things that you want to do and helps you co-create your life with God. So, what is alignment and what does that even look like? Well, first thing you need to understand is that you are not a body. You are actually a spirit, an energetic or frequency-based being that has a soul. And your soul is your mind, your will, your emotions, your childhood memories, your programming, all the things that make your personality and your decisions unique to your human experience. And this spirit and this soul are both woven into your physical body. That's why you're here on the earth, walking out this physical experience. But once your physical body dies, you still have those other two parts. Though they don't just disappear, they don't go away. All of these parts are designed to work together, communicating to each other, in order to help you walk in the most free, whole, and authentic version of you. This is the version of you that does not operate in fear or in lack, that has healthy relationships and is able to communicate without running away or ghosting. It's the version of you that is walking in purpose and feeling free and whole and fully alive, instead of the version of you that's, stuck in a 9 to 5 or struggling or just unfulfilled and not sure why. Let me just pause right here because I know so many of us maybe know theoretically that we were designed for a beautiful life, or we feel really deeply that we have a purpose on the earth. But so many of us are not actually living in that purpose, and we're living this life that we don't really want to be living. We're stuck in the grind, or we're dysregulated, or we're stressed out, or maybe our marriage is falling apart, or we're just not happy, even though things maybe seem like they're going the way that they should be going. Or the biggest one, we have symptoms running around in the body like chronic illness, aches and pains, all these things that don't necessarily make sense and won't go away. Well, I'm going to give you the secret to why all of those things are happening. Misalignment. Misalignment can happen anywhere in your spirit, your soul, or your body. It can come from a misaligned belief, a limiting belief, a belief that says, oh, I'm not worth more, or I don't deserve to make money, or somehow being sick or broke is going to make me more spiritual. Or it can come from trauma that happened in your youth or in just earlier in your life. These traumas can actually live in the body. And we've talked about that so much on so many other episodes, so I'm not going to dive so hard into that. But these traumas can actually impact how we're operating, and they can impact our physical body. And then, of course, if you're not treating your body well, if you're not moving well, if you're not eating clean, if you're not taking care of yourself and you're out partying and all of these things, that will create a misalignment in your physical body. Wherever the misalignment ends up, spirit, soul, or body, it's going to deter you or block you from living the life that you were actually designed to live. Now, alignment is actually, it's not just this ethereal thing, like a concept. It's actually scientifically proven. Amit Goswami is one of the leaders in the quantum health space. And quantum health, I know that sounds like a big word, but really it's just the idea that what I'm saying, you are not just a body that can deal with symptoms and then you'll be good. There's actually a root that is energetic or frequency or belief based. So Amit Goswami has done a whole lot of work and a whole lot of scientific research about how we actually create our lives based on alignment, based on what's going on in our energetic field, based on these beliefs, these emotions, all these things stuck in the system. And he talks a lot about the paradox of creating our reality. because they've done studies about how our thoughts impact things, how we have, the torus field that I've talked about before, this energy system that's flowing through our body that extends outside of us and actually impacts the earth around us. And they've noticed that we do actually have an impact on how other people experience us, how we experience our life, and how easily things flow to us or how hard we have to work to make things happen. All of this is scientifically backed. But one thing that he noticed was that it kind of doesn't make sense, actually. Because imagine if two people are going to a stoplight at the same time, right? And both of them want to have a green light. Well, if both of them got the green light, then there would be a massive crash, right? So as much as we do have this ability to create our life, we also don't get everything that we want, because if everybody got everything that they want at all times, it would cause a lot of problems. Well, so the quantum science community, what they realized was that there has to be an unbiased third party. There has to be this governing body, essentially, in the cosmos that understands what is actually best for us, what is most in alignment, and who gets what they want when they want it, and who gets redirected to a different path. And this way we know we are not the creator, we are actually just co-creators. In the Bible, it actually says that a man's heart determines his way, but the Lord determines his steps. So this third party, this consciousness, this source or universe, as people want to call it, it's actually the creator. It is the one who knows us more intimately than we know ourselves. It's the one who has designed us with purpose, knows what our purpose is, and knows when we are in alignment with desire, making decisions based on that alignment, and when we're misaligned. When we are aligned, Amit Goswami says, we have favor. Favor is when things start flowing to you, things get easy for you, things start opening up, people show up out of nowhere exactly when you need them, money starts flowing to you a lot easier. All of these things actually happen when you are in alignment with how you're designed, who you're designed for, and you're making decisions based out of that place. So what does alignment actually look like? Well, I want to share a little bit about what my life looked like before I began to get aligned and what it looks like now, because let me tell you, it is radically different. If you had met me even 3 years ago, you would not recognize the woman that's sitting before you today. Now, I grew up in a healthy household, I would say a good household. I had great parents. I had brothers. I had a sister. I was always very high achieving minded. So when I was in high school, I was pursuing beach volleyball. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I was very driven. I was working on all the things. And for some reason, I would always find that no matter how hard I worked, I could not get where I wanted to go. I would always hit a wall in performance, or I would hit a wall in my body when I was trying to lose weight or get stronger, any of these things. I was hitting blocks left and right. And not just in my body, but in my belief systems and in my mindset as well. I had some trauma, as we all do. And when that stuff started happening, I kind of took a nosedive in my life, and it didn't go super well for me. I started making decisions based off of fear. I made a lot of decisions based off of shame. If you've heard any of the other podcast episodes, I've dove into shame a lot and how it impacted my life. But long story short, I ended up in a life and in a place that I did not want for myself at all. I got in a relationship I shouldn't have been in because I didn't believe I was worth more. I got into jobs and built businesses that were completely misaligned with who I was, and they were making me so sick. They were making me miserable, and they were making me broke. The thing that was supposed to make me money was actually stealing money from me and stealing life from me. So all this sort of came to a head in 2023, where I was playing professional beach volleyball. I was at the height of, what should be my career. I was running a business. I was running a ministry. I was in a long-term relationship, all of these different things. But I found myself just so miserable. I found myself lying awake at 2 or 3 in the morning, just being like, what has happened to my life? Who even am I? Do I even want the things that I'm pursuing? I remember I was playing overseas in Egypt and just being like, I don't understand what's happening because I'm training so hard, I'm doing so well, and my body feels like it's completely betraying me. I was getting sick, I was gaining weight, which made no sense. I had a stress fracture for over a year. I had all these body symptoms. I just felt so disconnected from vision and from purpose and from all of these things. And at some point I just stopped, and I stopped one day and I just was like, okay, I can't keep going the way that I'm going. Something is wrong here and I don't know exactly what it is. Well, I felt this deep intuitive nudge that I had built my life based on achievements, based on this misalignment of believing that I had to earn my worth. And if I wanted something to change, I needed to change it. And so I kind of burned my whole life to the ground. I I quit running the ministry. I put everything on hold. I closed a business. I took a season off from playing professional beach volleyball, and I got on a yoga mat and I was like, you know what? I just need to reconnect to my body. I need to figure out why she is struggling. What's going on here? I need to disconnect movement from achievement and from earning and from playing sports. And I need to figure out what it is I actually like and what actually feels good. Because I had never in my entire life made decisions based on that before. So I spent 6 months on a yoga mat, 6 months getting into my body, feeling into all these symptoms, processing them out. And that 6 months became the beginning of what I call the Marra Method, which is a nervous system regulation technique based on movement. But what that 6 months really did for me is it showed me all of the places where I was misaligned. In my belief systems, I had so much shame. I had made so many decisions based on that. I had built this life based on programming. And I realized how many decisions I had made based on self abandonment and shrinking and trying to fit into other people's ideas of what my life was supposed to look like. And I started dismantling those things through the body, through symptoms. I started really just going into, okay, who am I actually at the core? Who do I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? And over that 6 months, my life radically changed. I shifted my belief about myself, which is the number one thing that causes misalignment. I started addressing those limiting beliefs that said I had to shrink myself in order to be loved and to be accepted. I had to, play sports in order to get fame or to gain worth. I had to build these businesses because that would mean something about me. That would mean that I was worthy. And I started to just really go after what was in my heart, what was in my purpose, what was I actually designed to do. And when I came to that, I found that all I really wanted to do is I wanted to help people. I wanted to heal people. I wanted to help people get more free and so that they never lived a life like I did, stuck in this hamster wheel of achievements and being miserable. This kind of lifestyle, this struggle that I was having, it was very confusing for me. Coming from a Christian background, understanding the Lord, understanding that I was designed for purpose, and I had this feeling deep down inside my gut that I was designed to do something really important. It was confusing to end up in a lifestyle where I was miserable all the time. And every time that I was alone, I would just feel this sadness, this overwhelming sadness. And I wouldn't be able to sleep through the night because I was just so afraid that I was never actually going to become the person that I knew deep down that I was. And so it was very confusing for me. But I also just had this fire in me. Call it the Holy Spirit, call it intuition, call it whatever you want. I just had something in me that was like, I can't stay here. I cannot stay here. And so over those 6 months, I really just spent a lot of time with me and with God on that yoga mat, just feeling into everything that was going on in my body. And let me explain why I was going at this from the body, because we've talked about spirit, soul, body, how they're all in tandem, how they're supposed to be working together. Well, everything at the base of that misalignment, it all lands in the body. Your body is essentially just a map of everything going on in your subconscious. So all those limiting beliefs, all those emotions, the traumas, everything that you've experienced in your life, originally it should come through the soul, right? We should have these intuitive pings. We should kind of intuitively know, okay, that decision isn't for me, whatever. But we've been trained to not listen to our soul, to disconnect. And so what happens is then it gets pushed into the body. And it gets pushed into the body via sensation, because that's the only way that the body knows how to communicate. So every single place of sensation in the physical body is actually your body showing you, hey, there's a misalignment here. Hey, your hips are hurting because you feel like you're afraid to move forward. Hey, your shoulder is hurting because you're carrying a burden you shouldn't be carrying. And so all of these symptoms, the chronic illness, the stress fracture in my foot, the hormone issues, the pancreas not working, I had adrenal fatigue, all the things, those were actually my body screaming at me saying, hey, you're misaligned and you got to start listening. So I went into this from a body perspective. I went in with an understanding of the physical body from my years as a trainer and moving into somatic work. And so I really started to sit with the body and be like, okay, what is this sensation telling me? What is this? Why do I have adrenal fatigue? Okay, that's based on stress. That's based on fear. Okay, what's the root emotion of the fear? Okay, when did that come up? When did the memory start? And I started working backwards through these things, and I would have all these memories rise in the body, and I would have moments where I had the chance to process through them, to feel what I wasn't allowed to feel when I was younger, coming out of a family who didn't really understand emotions. They're amazing, but I grew up with all boys, they don't really do emotions. So as a kid, I was taught emotions aren't safe. You can't feel your emotions, like man up a little bit. So that little version of me never got to feel those emotions, and they got stuck in my body. So I had to process through a lot of that stuff. I had to feel through it. It was messy. There were days that I literally couldn't get out of bed because the emotion and the processing of whatever had come up for me was so intense and so strong. And I just want to tell you, like, healing does look like that sometimes. It's not this perfect upward arc of, oh, I understand why I feel the way that I feel, and now I released it and now I'm good. It is a lot of, oh, wow, there is a lot of anger here. Oh, underneath that anger, there's a lot of grief. Oh, this little version of me, this 6-year-old version of me never got nurtured and didn't understand what that looks like. And now me as the adult, I kind of have to go back internally and remother and re-nurture those parts of myself. So it can be messy and it can be cyclical and it can be hard. But let me tell you, after that 6 months on the mat, after developing the Marra Method and starting to do this consistently every single day, I 180'd. My life skyrocketed. I left where I was in Dallas. I was living in Dallas in a house, and I was like, I have to leave here. I just felt the intuitive nudge because I had reconnected with my body. I had started listening, and I was just like, I can't stay here. I cannot stay here. I will die here. I made decisions. I finally left that relationship, which, by the way, as soon as I decided I was leaving that relationship, my stress fracture in my foot healed because it was about shame for moving forward. So I started, making decisions that were in alignment with what I actually wanted instead of that shame in my foot, instead of that fear in my adrenals and all the things. I started making better decisions. I was like, I can't stay in Dallas. Okay. So I left Dallas, left all my stuff. I had $200 in my bank account. I drove across the country, went and lived in my parents' basement in my little brother's room for about a month. And I just was kind of there processing and being like, okay, what am I doing with my life? And again, I had this, I can't stay here. I can't stay here. That intuitive pull was like, if you stay here, you're going to shrink. You're going to go back to the person that you were, and you just got free. And so I was like, okay, where am I going? Florida. I'm going to Florida. I had a best friend here. She was like, you should just come. And I was like, okay, but I don't know how to get there. I have $200 in my bank account. I don't have a job. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't even know what I want to do with my life. I had developed this method and I was using it a little bit on people and it was working for them, which was beautiful and amazing. But I was like, I can't build a business right now. And so I was like, okay, God, if you want me in Florida, you need to get me out there. And that is the first time I experienced alignment and favor, because doors started opening immediately. As soon as I asked that, I got offered a job and I was like, okay, I'm taking it. I came out here and this job was not like ideal for me. It was a sales job, but it opened the door for me to get where I needed to be, which was a new environment. So I worked in this job, and on the side, I was running Marra Method sessions out of my apartment building. And I was, doing the thing, building the thing on my side. I was running these little challenges. And I felt like God was like, hey, run a challenge, run a real challenge for somatic work. Show people what you've been doing. And so I was like, okay, I followed the nudge, right? I followed the intuition. Again, that's what alignment is. It's saying, okay, I feel this inside me. I'm going to follow it. I don't know what it's going to look like. It's scary. I'm going to do it anyway. And so the first challenge that I launched, I had 12 people. 3 of them were outside the country. So as soon as I launched my business, essentially, I was global, which is insane for a business owner. If any of you are entrepreneurs, you know that's insane. But it's favor, it's alignment, it's doing the things that you feel called to do, and your life will just explode because of it. So moving on from that, I was still working in this sales job. I was running these little challenges, taking one-on-one clients every once in a while. And then in May, another intuitive nudge, it's time to quit the job. And that was scary. That one was, okay, I have some clients, but not enough to pay my rent. And I live alone and I don't have a partner now. And I don't want to go back to my parents and ask them for money if I can't pay my rent. But I just felt so deeply that if I took the leap, then I could build what I wanted to build. I could build this business. I could actually make an impact. And if I didn't take the leap, then it would never grow. And so May 2nd was my last day working for anyone else. I jumped off the cliff. The first week I had nothing, crickets, no clients, no nothing. The second week I had 30 clients. And it was basically not uphill from there, but the trajectory went up. I started getting offers to come teach at resorts. I had people find me on social media and they would ask me to come on their podcast. I had all these doors suddenly open for me. And it's not because I'm special. It's really not because I'm special. It's because I followed the intuitive nudge. I stepped into my purpose, which is healing people and helping people. I trusted the intuitive nudge. I trusted the Holy Spirit speaking to me. And I said, okay, if you said it, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to do it. I have to do it. Because what's the worst that could happen? Okay, I'll have to go back and get another job. That was kind of my mindset. But I jumped off the cliff. And since I jumped off the cliff, doors have opened like none other. I've gotten to see people heal from MS. I've gotten to see people healed from all these different things. I've gotten to partner with some of the most amazing people in the world. I've gotten to have the best clients I've ever experienced. And it's just been such a beautiful ride. And yes, it has been hard. And yes, it's still messy. And 2025, I think for everyone was a shedding year, right? It was the year of the snake. So it was messy and it was hard and it was still healing from all the things that I had, opened up in 2023. And it was still dealing with those parts of myself that were blocked or misaligned. But it was doing so with tools and doing so with an understanding of where I was going and how, as long as I just remove the blocks, I'm going to become more me. And becoming more me is the key to living a life that I wanted to live, living a life based on design. So I just want to encourage you, if any of you are hearing this and you're like, I feel like that, I feel stuck, I feel blocked, I feel like I'm living a life that isn't mine, or that I've self-abandoned and I don't even know what I want anymore, there are tools to help you. There are tools that will help you get back into your body, reconnect to your body. The Marra Method is one of them. Somatic work literally will change your life. There are people that can help you. There are resources for you. This is not something that you have to do alone. But I just want to encourage you, as somebody who felt so deeply that I had a purpose and a calling in a life, I was never going to get there if I did not come back to who I actually was. If I didn't do the work, go to war with myself to really break down all those belief blocks and break down all that old programming and deal with the trauma and feel all the feelings and get a little messy for the last couple of years, and to really just be willing to do whatever it took to become more fully me. That is how alignment opened up doors for me that hustle never could. So again, if this is you, if you are ready to actually heal your trauma, not just understand it, but really process through it, really become the you that you were designed to be, you have to start with your body. You got to start understanding the blocks. The best way to do that is somatic work. Really starting to understand and connecting to the body, reconnecting to those sensations, really starting to dialogue with the body and reestablishing a relationship with this part of you that often goes neglected. Once you start to reconnect to the body, then you're going to start understanding more and more how it speaks and what these sensations are trying to say, what's stuck, what emotion is stuck in that pain or that chronic symptom. Once you process the emotion, you get to go a little bit deeper. You get to ask it, okay, what memory is living here? Where did I first learn this about myself? And then you begin to rewire it. And there's a lot of tools to do that as well. And finally, you start developing capacity in your nervous system to actually experience hard things while still making decisions that align with this truest, highest spirit version of you, instead of the version of you that is shrunk and afraid and programmed to build a life based on somebody else's vision for you. And while you're going into your body and you're asking these questions, the beautiful part is that you never have to do it alone. Even if you're on your yoga mat in your living room like I was, or laying in your bed, not able to move because you're just processing so much of what is coming up for you, you're not alone. That third party, that consciousness source, God, is there with you. And you have access to this higher level consciousness, to God, at any time. You can ask him questions. You can ask him to help you process. You can ask him to give you insight into what is going on in your body, what is going on in your energetic system, and how to move it out. You are not a powerless victim of the things that happen to you. You are actually a powerhouse, a co-creator, and you have the authority to create whatever kind of life that you want. All it takes is you figuring out who you are and getting back into alignment. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode resonated, don't forget to subscribe and send it to somebody who needs it. If you want to dive deeper, all the links are going to be in the show notes. I'll see you next time.